Round 2 of the 2025 SuperEnduro Series went off in Riesa, Germany this weekend, and it was Husqvarna Factory Racing's Billy Bolt running the table for a perfect night and maximum points over Dominick Olszowy from Rieju Factory Racing and Triumph Factory Racing's Jonny Walker. While Bolt dominated the win column, Round 2 still showcased great racing, drama, and perhaps some signs that the front end of the field might be closing the gap to Bolt. Let's get into it by starting with a quick look back at Round 1. After the first round of the series, we were back in what feels like our default Super Enduro question of, who's got anything for Billy Bolt? 2022 Super Enduro Junior Champion Olszowy had looked fast and more importantly consistent in round 1 with a P2 finish on the night to go along with a win in Moto 2. Jonny Walker also looked fast and smooth all night, but was derailed in the final moto by a drop chain that pushed him back to P13 for that race. He did do enough to get third overall in the round though, and his championship hopes were still alive. While Bolt had lost the second moto of that race, he did bounce back to win Moto 3 and start the championship where he had left it off last year, with the red leaders plate and some serious momentum that had to be at least a little bit demoralizing for the rest of the field. So let's get into round 2. The Super Pole competition was an exciting one at round 2 with a great battle for the third spot, which is worth one championship point between Olszowy, Ashton Brightmore, and Eddie Carlson. When the dust settled, it was Carlson and his Stark Future that picked up the position and that point. In the top 2 spots, it was Billy Bolt taking a comfortable 1.589 second win over Jonny Walker after Walker had a somewhat sloppy ride with a tough inside line through the first corner and a bobble in the rock garden. The first moto of the night saw Bolt take the whole shot just ahead of Olszowy. They were joined by Walker and Carlson, and this group of 4 quickly separated from the rest of the field. It didn't last long though, as Bolt and Walker dropped the other 2 riders, eventually building a gap out to approximately 16 seconds. From there, it was all Bolt and Walker. While Bolt never looked like he was in danger of losing the lead, Walker managed to stay within a second of his lap times for all but one lap of the race. This was a huge improvement for Walker from round 1 and, most importantly, it allowed him to apply pressure to Bolt for the entire moto, as any time that Bolt can build a lead, he's pretty much impossible to beat. Another important point to make here is that we believe Walker is still not running a factory motor on his Triumph. For him to stay this close to Bolt without that factory motor has to be a great confidence boost, and would also seem to indicate we might get to see some fireworks when he does get that motor in the next round or 2. Olszowy and Carlson battled for the P3 spot through the first half of the race until Olszowy made a mistake coming into the flyover that dropped him back to P5 behind TTR Squadra's Will Hoare. This allowed Carlson to secure third in the moto, which was also Stark Future's first race podium in Super Enduro. Sherco USA's Cooper Abbott had a tough first race of the night, riding around P10 for most of the moto before eventually finishing in 11th place. Moto 2 had a ton of action and big drama. In the reverse gate start, it was Cooper Abbott coming from the far outside of the front row all the way to the inside on his way to grabbing the whole shot. Olszowy had an incredible moto back row start for the second straight round, emerging in P2 ahead of another fast back row start from Jonny Walker. Billy Bolt played it safe and came out in about 9th place. By lap 2, Abbott, Walker, and Olszowy had built up a lead over the pack, but things changed quickly as Walker went down hard after washing out his front end and trying to get past Abbott. He got up, but had to abandon the moto after some front end damage to his bike. In short order, Bolt made his way up to third by running lap times 2 to 3 seconds faster than Olszowy before making the pass for the lead on lap 5. From there, Bolt never looked back on his way to a commanding 9.998 second win over Olszowy, who was followed by Mitch and Ashton Brightmore and Cooper Abbott in 5th place. Moto 3 brought us one of the most exciting races of the night. Jonny Walker wasn't just able to continue racing after his Moto 2 crash, he came back with a lights-out race. He came off the line at warp speed, easily taking the whole shot ahead of Olszowy. Another fast starter for the second moto in a row was Cooper Abbott, who looked very confident coming off of the back row and making up 4 positions before the first corner. On lap 1, it was a Walker, Olszowy, and Bolt train pulling away from the field, but it was Walker who seemed to have the afterburners turned on as he built up a 4.5 second lead. Although it was Bolt setting the fastest lap times through the 10-lap moto, we again saw Walker nearly equal those times, staying within a second and often within just 1 to 2 tenths. In the mid-pack, we saw a tremendous battle for P4 and P5. Abbott's quick start had put him just behind Eddie Carlson, but Carlson struggled on laps 5 and 6, and Abbott took advantage to take 4th. Mitch Brightmore pushed hard and got past Carlson too, but couldn't catch the smooth-riding Abbott. Back up at the front of the race, it came apart for Walker on lap 8 as he struggled on the exit of the rock garden corner. This mistake allowed Bolt to close a 2.5 second gap before making the pass for the lead a short while later on the same lap. As per normal, once Bolt took the lead, it was all over. As Walker switched into race management mode, Bolt quickly built up a 6.2 second lead, allowing him to cruise to the finish to complete his perfect night. Walker finished ahead of Olszowy in third, Abbott in fourth, and we saw Mitch Brightmore rounding out the top 5 of the moto. In the end, Bolt was unbeatable on the night. His combination of confidence, speed, and consistency is almost impossible to beat, but we may be seeing some chinks in his armor. Walker was impressively close to Bolt in terms of lap times through the 3 motos, and we saw Bolt under some consistent pressure for the first time in a long time. What's more interesting about this is, as we noted earlier, we believe Walker still doesn't have a factory race motor installed on his bike. From speaking with Jonny previously, we think that this will be rectified in the next round or two, which could lead to some even more exciting racing. Ultimately, though, Bolt is quickly building up a substantial lead in the overall championship standings. After round 2, he leads Olszowy by 22 points and Walker by a huge 44 points. Walker has had a terrible moto in each of the first 2 rounds, which has impacted his overall position in a serious way. This does, though, perhaps allow Walker to race more aggressively and chase moto wins over the remaining 5 rounds, which would obviously be great for the fans. For North American fans, Cooper Abbott sits in a tie for P6 overall with Mitch Brightmore, just 4 points behind Eddie Carlson. If he can build a bit more consistency and race like he did in Motos 2 and 3 of round 2, he's got a real chance to finish the season in the top 5 of the championship. Thanks for tuning in to our Super Enduro Round 2 recap, and we're looking forward to Round 3 in Romania coming up in the next couple of weeks.